let's talk about summer in the city. For the first time this year, I went to Pre-SitC, which is basically what summer in the city used to be, just a bunch of like YouTube nerds meeting up in a park and hanging out. It's on a Thursday, and it was very nerve-wracking to go. I chose to go because this SitC was the first time I went without really having anyone that I was going to be talking to there. So I chose to go to Pre-SitC in an attempt to try and meet some people to talk to, and it was very good. It was nerve-wracking and a little scary at times because a lot of people knew each other, but I did end up talking to some nice people whom I also met for the rest of the weekend. So if you're not terrified by social interaction, I'd recommend going. Then Friday was the Creator Day, and usually Creator Day is my favorite day of the three, but this year it was actually my least favorite day. Just in general, something felt a little bit off or weird about the event. It could have been the fact that I went alone for the first time, so it wasn't how I used to experience it. It could be that it was my third time, but there was also like some organizational things that I'll get into later. But Creator Day for me was very much the day where I was trying to find people. So I went from like group to group of like people I'd spoken to a little bit online and people I'd spoken to at Pre-SitC, trying to have some people to talk to.
What have you Is it good? Does it work?
How you feel about your cat self?
I feel like we're connected.
Yeah.
You know, like we're really truly connected.
We aim for a spiritual level here.
Yeah.
So yeah, spiritual or nothing. Spiritual, you get your money back.
This is the most spiritual place in SitC right here.
Yeah.
This table right there.
This is kind of like
This is
like
I haven't seen any of the
religious
tables
point.
without, be honest.
If you're trying to find yourself,
This is our deity to be.
if you're trying to find yourself, come here and become a cat. That's the way to go.
If you want to find yourself, you can do it through cold hard cash. Charity.
I managed to see a few panels.
I'm always a big believer of kind of writing to what you have. Like if your uncle owns an ice cream van, cool, work it into something, you know, because it will look like production value, you know what I mean? What are some of the good qualities you look for in a director? Qualities that help you do your job better?
I think clear opinions is really helpful.
But because they were all on the stages instead of in panel rooms like it's been previously, it was a bit hard to hear sometimes, which didn't quite give it like the panel feel that it usually has. I think that kind of affected my experience with the panels. I did have a really good one, which was about #ad, #gifted, and transparency on YouTube, which was very, very good.
Here we go. So Lucy, to you first. When you're promoting your own merchandise, should you say #ad or not?
No, because it's implicit within the fact it's your own merchandise that you are earning money from said merchandise.
Would anybody like to disagree?
I think technically you're supposed to.
I've heard that you're meant to put something, but I think that's the most ridiculous rule of all time, and I will fight it in court.
You've been gifted a dress from Zara.
I have.
Every time that dress appears in your content, do you have to say gifted every time, even if it's the only item of clothes you wear for an entire year?
I would say no, because I think that it is all about intention, and if you are posting a picture as like, I was sent this thing, they expect to post for it, #gifted, correct. If I'm wearing it just because I'm wearing a piece of clothing, then it's not gifted.
Technically.
I will not tag Zara in my pictures of me in a dress.
Don't worry, I've only got 2 more silly ones of these.
Up to 12 months afterwards, you do need to declare that it was gifted.
Every time?
Every time. Every time you use it. Or it gets madder if you get gifted a mascara, you use that mascara, the mascara runs out, you then go and buy that same mascara because you loved it. You have to declare the relationship every time for a year.
Yes. I think I should just sit in the audience and you guys can teach me.
That day I also had many times where I was like, I am a very small person in a very big room. I don't have anyone to talk to, and then that was a bit scary, but then I found people, so it was fine. So again, it was kind of like this throughout the day. It was also the day I went up and spoke to creators, and again, I kind of met everyone I wanted to meet. So I just went up to people I knew were nice to talk to and just had like a chat about how they were doing, about YouTube, which is always really nice. And I also asked some of them if they maybe be down for doing some interviews about YouTube and the media business for young people and stuff like that. So I don't know if anything's gonna come of that, but I was proud of myself for putting myself out there. I think there was definitely less people at Creator Day this year, which meant that the main expo hall, which is where everything was kind of located, was very big. And it felt very big, and it was a little overwhelming at times. And like I said, because the sound quality wasn't as good, you were kind of reminded that you were in this big room. So I kind of hope they next year do the Creator Day panels in the panel rooms instead of on the stages. I did meet some nice people. I did speak to some creators. I had a very lovely chat with Dean Dubs for like 20 minutes. And so I did have a lot of fun. But for me, it was definitely the least good days of the 3, which is interesting because it hasn't been like that in previous years. Second day, which is second day for me and Creator Day people, but first day for everyone else. I could tell immediately that the fact that there was people there and like the hall was filled helped me so much.
It's back. We're back to it feeling inspiring, and it's making me want to create again and do more with YouTube and all that stuff. So the feeling I was missing yesterday, it's back.
I also went to a lot more panels today, and this time around it was in actual rooms, which just gave it a completely different atmosphere. It felt more professional, you could better focus on what was going on.
Welcome to panel room A.
Woo!
So kindly. I think a lot of the questions are like, oh, where'd you get your inspiration from? But I want to know what happens just after you get your inspiration. So like when you have an idea, a concept, whatever that looks like, how do you go about getting the ball rolling?
I don't come up with, I love structure, but the first thing that normally happens is that you get the idea and then you just, well, for me, like I just start writing, because I had an idea when I was on holiday in Japan, which is like a really like wanky thing to say, like, I was on holiday in Japan, and inspiration struck, but it did. Yeah, I was soul searching in Japan. I was just eating dumplings. And then I stayed up all night writing, just like lying in this amazing traditional Japanese house on the floor, staring at the ceiling, writing on my phone till like 5 a.m, and that was like the beginning of it, and then moved on to the structure. So it was like, okay, I know I enjoy writing this, then I'll move on.
You need validation from men.
Oh, pals.
Yeah.
I would say, it was nothing. No, I would say no, to be fair. Because I don't care what like Keith from like Kenny cares. I love to see that. I don't care what he thinks about me, do I? I just care like, I always look at the top comments because I think that's like the ones that are the general opinion.
Yeah.
And if they're terrible, then I'm like, yeah, okay, I stop. But if they're good, then I'm like, that's all I care about. I don't look at the news, it's fine.
Yeah.
I did a video with my friend Alex, and I did a video where I was a co-host on a game show, and the sign men were on it. Yeah, this is bad. I was a co-host on a video where the Simonsen played, and bear in mind I'm mates with all of them. I had been specifically told, as a co-host, right, I mean, I'm going to be able to talk, I'm a co-host, I'm not a numbers girl, I'm not there looking gorgeous. There's nothing wrong with that, and just say, I'm the co-host. And I've been told to stir, I was about to say that word, trouble. Trouble. I've been told to like create friction between the teams in order to make it more interesting content. I wasn't aware when the video went live. I was on holiday, and I have never in my life received so many hate comments ever, and it was all from people saying, "Do you say that word or not?
Do you mind?
Oh, that's quite bad word."
So that's fine, you can say it.
They were all like, "Can you get this bitch to shut up?" And I had people telling me that I should be raped, that I should be killed, because I spoke and gave banter to a bloke and a bunch of guys. And that was the only time online hate has ever got to me, because there were thousands of people saying things like that to me. But as a woman, it made me a lot stronger, because I really now, I thought I didn't care before, but I got to it. But like now I really don't care.
However, this is also when I realized that this year's event hadn't been as organized, I think, as previous events, because I went to the first panel in panel room A and I was the first one in line, and when I got there, like half an hour before, 20 minutes before I was supposed to start, they were still sorting out the queue system, and like the volunteers didn't know how the queues were going to work, and it was in an awkward place, so they had to be like, people here, and then they come in here, and then they have to walk around to get out, and you can only go down and up one side, and they didn't really have enough things to like signal. Because there was more things going on, and like I had my panels to go to, I could like pop out and see people in between. That day was a lot better. What I experienced though was the fact that it seems like the demographic for somewhere in the city has kind of changed. What used to be like you see people in like Marvel shirts and Doctor Who shirts, sometimes people wearing cosplays, lots of people running around with like pride flags as capes and stuff. It was more like a lot of the attendees looked like Instagram models, in like the sense that they were all like the popular girls meeting the featured creators who also looked like the popular girls. Like it was less like nerdy and niche, and it was more, so that was just interesting. I kind of see that I don't see myself reflected in the attendees anymore. I didn't know most of the people on the main stage, and that's the first time that's happened to me, so I actually ended up going before the day was over, and I never do that.
It's 4 o'clock, and I think people are lining up outside the door into the main stage, which doesn't open yet, for a band that's on at like 8:30. That's never happened before. I've never seen people at SitC queuing for the closing act this early.
That day though, I had the best after SitC time. I went to the pub, the Fox, where a lot of people go, and ended up sitting at a table with some featured creators, some smaller creators, some people who are kind of from outside YouTube, the sphere, just talking about the small creators panel and talking about what it meant to be a small creator versus a featured creator, and kind of like the perks of both and things like that for like an hour, and it was amazing. That was the kind of discussion that I love, and also a bit of confidence boost, because one of the people I was talking to is one of the people that I look up to on here, and just sitting and chatting with them at table was so cool. Then came Sunday.
Hello, welcome to day 2, 3 for some. We're all a bit hungover. Let's just get this out of the way.
And this is the day I enjoyed the panels the most. I spent pretty much the entire day in panel room A, and all of them were really good.
When you intentionally sometimes put yourself in a box with your ideas, you can come out with something better because you're giving yourself limitations. Like now, if you look at movies that have no limitations because of CGI, you can see the most spectacular things and be less wowed by them than older movies that had limitations with what they could achieve.
It was the classic case with Jaws, coming back to my friend Stephen. They couldn't afford a decent shark. They just had this sort of half limp, half shark that looked really crap. So they had to just be really clever about how they shot it, the type of lighting, keeping it quite dark, not really showing it. And then of course the one
and using
score.
using other elements.
So they used the score to kind of to like create that tension, because the shark itself looked kind of crap. So like,
imagine if that film was made today though.
It'd just be a big CGI.
It'd just be a big CGI shot.
Meg, wouldn't it?
It'd be the Meg, not to shit on the Meg. I'm sorry. The director of the Meg's at the back.
George, is he there?
So I feel like it's the idea that if you're busy and you're productive, then you're like a worthwhile human being. So I think even people who aren't putting things out like YouTube videos and things that people see all the time are experiencing this constant pressure to be productive and like be doing something, which is actually just a capitalist nightmare, isn't it? Because it's like you should be like constantly working or you are not worthwhile as a human being, which is obviously not true. So I feel like a lot of the time we're all kind of approaching burnout and not realizing it because we're putting all this pressure on ourselves. Because I mean, I have made YouTube videos for a long time, but I don't have an audience that's like, oh my god, I must have the next video. So I haven't experienced that kind of burnout. All the pressure that I feel, I put on myself to be like the most productive version of myself I can be.
Okay, I think that if you're doing anything publicly, there is an inherent role model title that just comes with it, and you need to just accept that. Regardless of whether, it's I never said I was a role model, like I never wanted to be. That's like taking an easy way out. You have a bunch of eyes on you, especially on the internet where it's a bunch of impressionable people.
You just are going to be, to some people, like, no matter what role you're in, no matter what you're doing, or the type of stuff you're making, somebody's going to be influenced by what you do and what you say, and I think that you need to be conscious of that. So I think that they go hand in hand with no matter what industry you're in. I think that everybody is inspired by somebody who is in the public eye in some way, no matter how like popular or, you know, if you know, I think there's something I read that I quite liked where somebody said people used to be famous for 15 minutes and now everybody's famous to 15 people. And it's like, even if it is just for 15 people, those 15 people are going to take what you say at face value and at best they're going to listen to it, and at worst they're gonna, if it's something bad, they're gonna copy it in some way or think that that's an appropriate way to act.
Again, I only knew about like 2 people on the main stage show, so I didn't stick around for that. We ended up going to the Novotel, which is also nearby, where again everyone kind of goes afterwards. That day pretty much hit home for me that how I feel about conventions is that I enjoy the panels. Like, I'm no longer there to meet creators, like featured creators, because I've spoken to pretty much everyone I want to speak to, and I don't get a lot out of fan to creator interactions. So for me going forward, that's not going to be a huge part of my convention experience or goals. However, I'm very much there for panels because, like I said, I like discussions, I like hearing what people think about things. I like to hear from the featured creators how it is with these topics, and also I quite enjoy hearing from like the managers and stuff like that, kind of the business side of it. We went to Novotel afterwards and I ended up talking to a lot of small creators. Some people I met on Twitter beforehand, some people I didn't, some people I found out we had like common friends, and there's one person I actually had met at VidCon in Amsterdam like 3 years ago, and that was really great, just talking to more small creators, because I really want to get some more like YouTube friends who make YouTube and who live in the same country as me, because I've never had that. So yeah, if you're a small creator and you're watching this, reach out to me, let's chat. To kind of round off this SitC experience for me, it was very much a changing year. Like, it started out feeling a bit off, then like the happy feeling came back, and by the end of it I felt more clarity about where I fit in as a creator, but also as an convention attendee, and what it is I want from these creations from these conventions, and also kind of like some clarity about what I want for my channel and what I want to focus on going forward. It feels like something within the SitC construction or model is changing a bit. I'm not quite sure what yet, and it's going to be interesting to see it. I will definitely keep going as long as I feel like I'm still getting something out of it. And like I said, for me that's panels right now, and I'm still really enjoying that, so I will absolutely still go because I did have a good time. There was something that was different. If you went and you felt the same and you have any ideas about what it is, please leave them in comments down below. I'm very interested to hear. Also, in general, if you go to these kind of conventions, what do you enjoy about them? What do you get out of them? Please let me know and we can have a chat about it. So yeah. Thank you for watching this video about my SitC experience. If you want to see more of some of the panels, I did film quite a lot from some of them. So I made a playlist where I uploaded everything I filmed from like panels I had something of. So if you want, that will be in the description. You can find that and you can watch that. And yes, if you have any thoughts at all, please send them my way, either in the comments or on Twitter or Instagram, and we can chat. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I hope you have great, wonderful days full of inspiration and introspective thought. Bye!